My name's Lorna Campbell and I'm the manager of the OER Service at the University of Edinburgh in Scotland. I'm also a trustee of the Association for Learning Technology and Wikimedia UK. And I'm actually speaking to you today from Glasgow, where I live. We've got an absolutely glorious sunny afternoon here today, which if any of you know Glasgow, you'll know that's quite unusual, particularly given that the rest of the UK is apparently blanketed in snow and we've actually got sunshine. So anyway, I just want to start with a very quick introduction for those of you who might not be familiar with the university. Edinburgh is an ancient university with a large student body. We've got 3 colleges, 22 schools, and one of the largest academic libraries in Europe. At Edinburgh, we believe that the creation of open knowledge and open education resources is strongly in line with our institutional vision to share our knowledge and make the world a better place. And the university has a vision for OER, which is the brainchild of my senior colleague, Dr. Melissa Highton, Assistant Principal and Director of Learning, Teaching and Web Services. And this vision builds on the university's civic mission and the history of the Edinburgh settlement movement. And if you're not familiar with the settlement movements, I can highly recommend looking that up on Wikipedia. It's a really interesting social movement. Our excellent education and research collections and traditions of the Scottish Enlightenment. And this vision is backed up by an OER policy, which was approved by our Learning and Teaching Committee in 2016. And the fact that this policy was approved by our Learning and Teaching Committee rather than by the Knowledge Strategy Committee, which governs library policy, is significant because it places education and OER squarely in the domain of teaching and learning. The policy is informative and permissive. It does not mandate the creation of OER. Instead, it encourages staff and students to use, create and publish OERs to enhance the quality of the student experience, and it helps colleagues to make informed decisions about creating and using OER. So we wanted to put the policy in place to give colleagues that all-important permission that they were allowed to share their teaching and learning resources under open licence. And it's also important to note that the policy addresses both staff and students. And indeed, the University's Student Union was instrumental in encouraging the university to adopt an OER policy. And we still see students as being important creators of open education resources. The policy itself is open licensed and is adapted from an existing OER policy that was originally created by the University of Leeds well over 10 years ago now, I think. And this policy has already been adopted by a number of other institutions around the UK. Our version of the policy adopts a broad definition of open education resources, and this is one of the questions we were discussing just before the break. So by our definition, OER includes everything from course materials, images, videos, reading lists, open textbooks, MOOCs, Wikipedia articles, 3D models, historic artworks, to name just a few. But of course, policy is nothing without support. So we also have an OER service, which is based in Learning, Teaching and Web Services, which is part of Information Services Group. So the Information Services Group, I think, has about 6 directorates in it, of which the library is one and Learning and Teaching and Web Services is another. And this service provides staff and students with advice and guidance on creating and using OER and engaging with open education. And the service is very much focused on digital skills development, and we run a wide range of digital skills workshops for both staff and students, focused on copyright literacy, open licensing, OER and playful engagement. And the OER service places openness at the centre of the university's strategic initiatives by embedding digital skills training and support in the institution's wide-scale initiatives, including lecture recording, academic blogging, VLE foundations, MOOCs and distance learning at scale, in order to build sustainability and minimise the risk of what my colleague Melissa Highton has referred to as copyright debt. And again, this was a concept that Catherine touched upon. And this is the idea that if you don't get the licensing of educational content right first time round, it'll cost you to fix it further down the line. And the cost and the reputational risk to the university could be significant if copyright is breached. And this is really one of the best strategic reasons for investing in open education resources at the institutional level. We need to ensure that we have the right to use, adapt and reuse the education resources that we ourselves have invested in. Now, I should point out at this stage that it all sounds very grand when we talk about the OER service at the University of Edinburgh. In actual fact, the OER service employs a grand total of 2 people, myself and my colleague Stephanie, Charlie Farley. Charlie works full-time for the service, I work part-time, and I also work on several other services as well. So the full-time complement staffing of the service, it's less than 1.5 FTE. So it's a very small service in a very big institution. However, as I said, we do view student engagement as very important to us, and we employ open content curation student interns who come and work with us each summer to help to create and share open education content from resources that other students have created as part of their coursework assignments. And the OER service also works very closely with our award-winning Wikimedian in residence, Ewan McAndrew, who works to embed open knowledge in the curriculum through skills training sessions, editathons, Wikipedia in the classroom initiatives and Wikidata projects, in order to increase the quantity and quality of open knowledge and enhance digital and information literacy skills for both staff and students. And creating Wikipedia entries enables students to demonstrate the relevance of their field of study and share their scholarship in real-world contexts. And again, this is something that Stacey mentioned. And to contribute to the global pool of open knowledge. And we found that they respond really positively to this opportunity. And if you want to find out more about the benefits of engaging with Wikimedia in education, we've created this open licence booklet, which features a range of case studies from institutions around the UK, including the University of Edinburgh. The one thing we don't have in Edinburgh is a dedicated OER repository. And this was very much a strategic decision, because we know from experience that OER repositories are often costly and difficult to maintain. And repositories that were originally designed to host scholarly works struggle to accommodate the diversity of open education resource types, and it can also be very hard to encourage staff to engage with them. Added to which, the university already maintains a number of existing repositories for a wide range of different resource types, so we really didn't see the benefit in investing in yet another separate repository for open education resources. So instead of having a single OER repository, we tend to view OER as part of the infrastructure of teaching and learning, and the web as the platform that we use to share and disseminate our open content and our open practice. And in fact, our OER policy encourages colleagues to publish content in any appropriate repository or public access website in order to maximise the discovery and use by others. And our OER service website, OpenEd, hosts a showcase of some of this innovative open content, which is hosted elsewhere on the web. And this showcase has 3 strands: for the common good, encompassing everyday teaching and learning materials; Edinburgh at its best, high quality resources produced by a range of different projects and initiatives, including our MOOCs; and Edinburgh's treasures, content from our world-class cultural heritage collections. And I just want to highlight some of the repositories and channels that we use to host and disseminate a wide range of open content across the institution. So Media Hopper Create is our media asset management platform where both staff and students share a wide range of media content, including recorded teaching material, project materials. There are, I think, now tens of thousands of videos in this platform, and a proportion of them are Creative Commons licensed. So we have over 4,000 open license videos on this channel. So that represents a significant collection of open education resources. The University of Edinburgh also creates a large number of MOOCs and free short online courses, which we host on a range of platforms, including FutureLearn, Coursera and edX. And we heard discussion earlier on about the importance of longevity of access to resources, and it's very easy for MOOC content to get locked up in these proprietary platforms. So in order to ensure that all high quality content that we produce for our MOOCs is freely available in perpetuity, we have the Open Media Bank, which is a channel in our media repository where you can find the vast majority of the videos that we've created for our MOOCs, where you can access and download them under open license. And we also make open resources for school teachers and pupils, and we share these on a website called TES Resources. Now, this is actually a commercial website run by the Times Education Supplement, but this is where we know that this is where school teachers go to find resources, so we decided that this would be the most useful place to put the resources we create for teachers. And one of the things that's really nice about this collection of resources is pretty much all these resources were actually created by undergraduate students at the university as part of their coursework. Most of them were created by students on our Geosciences Outreach course, and the resources they created as part of their coursework assignments were then taken by our open content curation interns, checked for copyright compatibility, tagged with Curriculum for Excellence descriptors and learning levels, and then shared on TES Resources so they can be downloaded free of charge by school teachers. We also share 3D models, and on Sketchfab, best place to share them. Normally we use our Sketchfab account for hosting models of cultural heritage and veterinary collections, but at the start of the pandemic we were actually also sharing 3D models of PPE that some of our technicians around the university had created and were sharing so that other people could download and produce them. We have lots of open license photographs on Flickr. And something that we've actually seen just recently is we're seeing more and more of our academic staff producing open license or open course books on GitHub. And it's been quite interesting. We've had about 4 or 5 of these produced within about the last couple of months. At this stage, most of them are the more technical sort of program-oriented subject areas, but it's really quite interesting to see this adoption of GitHub as a platform for open courseware. And we also have a centrally supported academic blogging platform, blogs.ed, and we now have over 4,000 individual blogs on this platform. And a large amount of these blogs and the content posted of them are released under open license. So again, this is another very significant collection of open content. And of course, over in the library, in another bit of information services group, there's a huge range of open content collections. We have an open journal hosting service that hosts open journals, many of which are created by our postgraduate research students. And I heard just actually 2 days ago that this platform is also going to start hosting open textbooks. So that's quite a new endeavour for our library. We also have a resource list service, and many of our resource lists are released under open license. And of course, we have the university's historic image collections. And again, many of these images are either in the public domain or released under Creative Commons license. And they are also hosted on the Europeana platform, which aggregates open content from institutions, cultural heritage institutions across Europe. And we have Edinburgh Data Share, which is our open data repository. And again, the vast majority of the data in this repository has been released under open license. And I think the Creative Commons Attribution license is actually the default license for this platform. I already mentioned Wikipedia. Our staff and students have created a huge volume of open knowledge on Wikipedia, and I just want to briefly highlight this Wikipedia article on high-grade serous carcinoma, which is one of the most serious and deadly forms of ovarian cancer. This article did not exist until it was created by one of our undergraduate reproductive biology students, Anya Kavanagh, who was actually one of our Irish students. And Anya created this article as part of a coursework assignment. And Anya's article has now been viewed over 100,000 times since it was first created, and it's really hard to imagine another item of undergraduate coursework that would have this kind of global impact. And we also engage with other Wikipedia projects, including Wikidata. We've created a large volume of open data on Wikidata, which allows us to undertake some really innovative projects, such as this interactive timeline of Scottish suffragettes. And also, this is the Witches project, and this was an amazing project undertaken again by a student intern working with our Wikipedian in residence, who took an existing database of Scottish witch trials, converted it into open data, uploaded it to Wikidata, and was able to produce these open interactive maps of places of residence of accused Scottish witches. This project generated a vast amount of publicity and interest in the mainstream media worldwide, and it's a fabulous example of how you can use open content, open data, and open education resources to really reveal hidden histories. And why do we do all this? Well, we believe that a strategic commitment to supporting OER and open knowledge has a wide range of benefits for our students, our colleagues, and our institutions, including diversifying the curriculum, improving copyright literacy, engaging students in co-creation, promoting the outputs of open research, fostering creativity and playful learning, contributing to the development of open knowledge, and enhancing engagement with content and collections. And perhaps most importantly at this point in time, our strategic support for OER has allowed us to respond to the unique challenges of the coronavirus pandemic by enabling us to share our education resources with those who need them the most, whether that's our own staff and students, school teachers creating remote lessons for their pupils, parents homeschooling their children, or healthcare professionals who rapidly needed to upskill themselves in the practicalities of caring for COVID-19 patients. And before I finish, I just want to highlight one particular really inspiring initiative. With support from our online learning and OER services and from our partners at FutureLearn, the university's MSc and critical care team was able to rapidly launch a free COVID-19 critical care MOOC for frontline clinical staff supporting critical care patients. And it took little over a fortnight of working day and night to collate the resources and get them onto the FutureLearn platform. And these resources went live on the 5th of April, just 3 weeks after the UK first went into lockdown. Over 5,000 learners enrolled on the first day of this course, and by the end of its first 6-week run, over 40,000 learners from 189 countries had accessed these free and open learning materials. And one of the reasons that the critical care team were able to release their MSc materials so rapidly was that they had already started creating their course materials as open licensed OER. So I'm going to stop there. That was a real whistle-stop tour, but I hope this has given you a broad overview of how we support OER as strategic infrastructure at the University of Edinburgh, and hopefully we'll have time for some questions and discussions later on this afternoon.